Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Mejia and Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. We're talking some Big 12 college football, a big matchup. We haven't heard from them much in the last couple years, but that's the Kansas Jayhawks hosting the TCU Horned Frogs here. Tony, coming to you. We get TCU minus 7-point road favorites, 67.5 being the total. Arguably the game of the weekend. What are you liking in Lawrence, Kansas, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that college game day is going there. Normally, the thing they look forward to most in October in Lawrence, Kansas is Midnight Madness. And now that will the hype for the basketball team will take a back seat to the hype for this football team. Well earned. You know, they're 5-0. Iowa State probably should have beat them last week, but the kicker was terrible for the Cyclones. And to KU's credit, they shut down a pretty prolific passing attack. In that the Cyclones do have a guy who can move the ball through the air and an excellent receiver, and they were able to bottle up both and win a low-scoring game. Their first really low-scoring game of the season, because this is a team that's outscored you of late. And they should have some confidence against TCU, because last year's game in Fort Worth, they lost 31-28. It was tied late. It was a battle back and forth, all contests long. Kansas actually led at the break. And it was one of those games where TCU, actually the only one that Jerry Kill won as the interim coach. So it was after the upheaval where Gary Patterson resigned. But TCU was still trying to notch as many wins as possible. So Kansas stayed right with them. Jalen Daniels played in that game for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, played in that game, was held to 166 passing yards. And Duggan has been tremendous this season. Carved up Oklahoma last week. Did the job in avoiding an upset against SMU the previous week. So TCU's battle tested. Can they spoil the party at Kansas? Probably, but they are favored. So just to be wary of the fact that they're 9-1 straight up in the last 10 matchups against the Jayhawks, but have only covered in 3 of those games. So maybe it's a TCU a winner, but Kansas covering. I think the Longhorns get the Horned Frogs get the job done. But we'll see how it unfolds. It certainly should live up to billing as one of the more exciting matchups on Saturday's schedule.
Brian, what are you thinking here? I mean, -7 to Tony's point. It opened -5, so a 2-point move here towards TCU, taking some money in the early market trading. Horned Frogs and Jayhawks from Lawrence. What are you liking, Brian?
I think this is a learning moment. I'm big on looking at the betting markets. Everybody and their brother are talking about Kansas getting a chance to play in front of the national audience. ESPN they're 5-0. Tony mentioned how they beat Iowa State last week, cost me a victory. Iowa State was the better team. They outplayed them. They didn't get it done. That happens. That's the way sports betting is. So Kansas comes into this game highly motivated, 5-0, and yet the line opened at 5 is the road favorite TCU, and it's gone up to 7. TCU plays SMU in a big coaches battle just a couple of weeks ago. Last week they blow out Oklahoma. 3rd straight game, the real pressure game for them. And still money is coming in on TCU. It's up to 7 after being at 5. Kansas, if you take a look at their defense, they have played really not very many good quarterbacks so far this season. And yet they've been giving up a lot of explosive plays defensively in the passing game. Take a look at what TCU does. They're averaging a whopping 8.33 yards per play with a passer rating of over 187. This is a team that can move the ball on Kansas, have a lot of success, and I don't think Kansas can make that adjustment and match them in points. The smart bettors are out there getting ahead of this. I agree with them. It's at 7 now. It's been nicer if it was at 5, but that's still the only way I would take a look at this one. TCU's got the offense to do it. You would think it'd be a letdown situation, but not with ESPN there, not with all the hoopla. So I'll be looking to fade TCU in the coming weeks. But right now, I'm looking to fade Kansas, a team that the public loves, the wise guys not so much.
Yeah, the TCU team, speaking of the quarterbacks, Sonny Dykes heading them up there, going all the way back to Louisiana Tech. He had some good quarterbacks. Jared Goff at Cal, SMU, some good teams. So you can see why the the money coming in, at least in theory here on TCU, guys. But Kansas, to Tony's point, the college game day being there, going to be a fun time in Lawrence. Fun one to watch. Kicking us off on Saturday, guys. 12 noon Eastern kickoff in this one. Check out Tony Mejia, Brian Leonard, WagerTalk.com. Good day to do so, guys. It's $2 Tuesday. Top handicappers, top play discounted to just $2. Check it out, WagerTalk.com.